The blood on her sleeve wasn't supposed to show. Ava Carter had spent 3 years perfecting invisibility. Long sleeves in summer, silence in chaos, staying small enough to disappear. But when shattered glass opened her arm in Adrian Wolf's kitchen, everything she'd buried came screaming to the surface. The scars weren't just marks. They were a map. And her billionaire employer was about to follow every brutal line straight back to the man who put them there. This is a story about the past that refuses to stay dead, and the love that's willing to kill it. Stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. The estate was too quiet for a house with a child in it. Ava had noticed that her first day, the way silence pooled in corners like standing water, how footsteps on marble echoed wrong, too sharp, like the house itself was listening. Adrian Wolf's home wasn't warm. It was a fortress dressed up as luxury, all clean lines and locked doors and windows that showed you the world without letting you touch it. She understood that instinct, the need to keep everything out. She'd been living here 14 months now, caring for 5-year-old Max while his father ran an empire from behind glass walls and conference calls. It was good work, safe work, the kind where you showed up on time, kept your head down, and nobody asked questions about why you flinched when doors slammed or why you never wore short sleeves even when the AC died in August. Ava moved through the kitchen now, prepping Max's lunch with the efficiency of someone who'd learned not to waste motion. Peanut butter, no jelly. Crackers, not chips. Apple slices cut thin because he hated when they were thick. The routine was a language she spoke fluently. Small needs, predictable patterns, a life built inside boundaries she could control. Miss Ava? She turned. Max stood in the doorway, still in his pajamas though it was past 10. His dark hair stuck up on one side, and he was holding that stuffed elephant he pretended not to sleep with anymore. You're supposed to be getting dressed, buddy. I know. He didn't move. Is Dad leaving again? Ava's hand stilled on the cutting board. What makes you think that? He's wearing the airport suit. She hadn't seen Adrian yet this morning, but the kid was observant in that unsettling way children were when they'd learned to read danger in small details. She knew that skill. She'd survived on it once. I don't know his schedule today, she said, which was true. Adrian Wolf didn't report his movements to the nanny. But either way, you've got school, so clothes, teeth, backpack, go. Max shuffled out, dragging the elephant. Ava watched him disappear down the hallway, then return to the apples. The knife moved in smooth, practiced strokes. She'd gotten good with knives in the last few years. Comfortable. There was something steadying about knowing exactly how sharp things were, how much pressure it took to cut through skin. She stopped that thought cold. The kitchen door swung open behind her. She didn't turn. Morning. Adrian's voice was low, textured like good whiskey. He always sounded slightly amused, like the world was a joke only he understood. Max up? Getting dressed, slowly. Sounds right. She heard him move to the coffee maker, the familiar ritual of his morning. Black, no sugar, hot enough to hurt. I'm flying to Boston for 2 days. Henderson's covering security here, but if you need anything, we'll be fine. I know. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable exactly, but it had weight. Ava had learned Adrian Wolf's silences the way some people learned languages, the thoughtful pause, the irritated gap, the kind that meant he was about to ask something she wouldn't want to answer. This was the last kind. Ava? She kept slicing. You've been here over a year. 14 months. Right. Another pause. And I still don't know a damn thing about you. Her knife stopped. She didn't look at him. You know I'm good with Max. That's what matters. Is it? It's what you pay me for. She heard him shift, fabric moving, probably leaning against the counter the way he did when he was settling in to push. Adrian Wolf hadn't built his empire by letting people dodge questions. I pay you to keep my son safe, he said. But I'm starting to wonder who's keeping you safe. Ava's pulse kicked once, hard. I don't know what you mean. You don't have friends over. You don't go out on weekends. You've never once taken a personal call in this house. Your resume before here is spotless, but it's also completely generic. 3 years of nanny work in different cities, always moving, never staying, like you're running from something. Or maybe I just like to travel. She forced herself to sound light. unbothered. Not everyone's a mystery, Mr. Wolf. Adrian. And everyone's a mystery. His voice was closer now. He'd moved. Some people are just better at pretending they're not. She finally turned to face him, keeping the counter between them. He was in the airport suit Max had mentioned, charcoal gray, perfectly cut, the kind of armor rich men wore when they needed to intimidate boardrooms. But his eyes were sharp, not unkind. Watching her the way she'd caught him doing sometimes when he came home early and found her reading to Max, or when she thought no one was looking and her face went somewhere else, Adrian Wolf noticed things. It was what made him dangerous. "I'm not that interesting," she said. "I think you're lying." "Then you'll have to wonder about it." She turned back to the apples, dismissing him. "Have a good flight." She didn't hear him leave, just felt his attention linger another moment, then withdraw like a hand pulling back from heat. The door swung shut. Ava let out a breath she hadn't known she was holding. 14 months. She'd been careful. So damn careful. No mistakes, no slip-ups, nothing that would make anyone look too close. She'd left that life behind, changed her name, changed her hair, changed everything about herself that could be changed. The woman she used to be was gone, dead and buried. She had to believe that. The morning moved forward in its familiar rhythm. Max dressed, barely. They negotiated about the shirt with the stain on it. Ava won. They compromised on the dinosaur shoes. She packed his lunch, grabbed his backpack, walked him to the car where Henderson, Adrian's head of security, a man who smiled like he'd forgotten how, was waiting to drive them to school. "Boss gone already?" Henderson asked as Max climbed into the back. "On his way to the airport," Henderson grunted. 2 days in Boston. Must be the catalyst deal." Ava didn't respond. She didn't follow Adrian's business, didn't ask questions, didn't want to know more than necessary about the man who signed her paychecks and whose son she loved, despite every instinct that told her not to get attached. The drive to school was quiet. Max stared out the window, making his elephant dance across the glass. At the drop-off circle, Ava walked him to the door, crouched down to his level. "You good?" "Yeah." "You sure?" He looked at her with those serious eyes that were too old for his face. "Do you think Dad forgets about me when he's gone?" The question landed like a fist. "Never. Not once." "How do you know?" "Because I see how he looks at you when he comes home." She tucked his hair back. "Like you're the only thing that matters. You know that, right?" Max nodded, but she could tell he didn't quite believe it. Kids who'd learned to be alone always had that doubt embedded somewhere deep. She knew because she'd been one of them. "Go on. Mrs. Patterson's waiting." He hugged her quick, a crash of small arms and elephant trunk, then ran inside. Ava stood, watching until he disappeared into the building, then walked back to the car where Henderson was checking his phone. "All good?" he asked without looking up. "All good." The drive back was longer. Traffic snarled on the interstate, some accident ahead creating a chain reaction of brake lights. Ava watched the city slide past, the buildings that never looked quite real in morning light, the people in other cars living lives she'd never touch, never know. She'd gotten good at being alone. It was safer that way. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She almost ignored it. The only people who had this number were Max's school, Adrian, and Henderson. But something made her check. Unknown number. Her stomach dropped. She stared at the screen, watching it buzz once more, then go silent. No voicemail, just the missed call, hanging there like a threat. "You okay?" Henderson glanced at her in the rear view. "Fine." She put the phone away, forced her hands not to shake. "Just spam." It was probably nothing. Random call, wrong number, telemarketer. She'd changed everything. Name, number, location. There was no way anyone from before could find her. No way he could find her. She'd made sure of that. The thought didn't comfort her as much as it should have. Back at the estate, Ava threw herself into work, cleaning Max's room, organizing his closet, scrubbing the bathroom until the tiles gleamed. Physical labor helped, gave her something to do with the anxiety crawling under her skin like insects. By noon, she'd run out of tasks. She stood in the kitchen, staring at the lunch she'd made herself but didn't want to eat. The house felt too big suddenly. Too empty. She could hear the clock ticking in the hallway, each second too loud. Her phone was on the counter. Silent now. No more calls. She should eat, should rest, should do any of the normal things people did when they had a free afternoon. Instead, she found herself walking to Adrian's office. She wasn't supposed to be in here. It was the one room in the house that was explicitly off limits. Adrian had mentioned it her first week, casual but firm, his private space. But the door wasn't locked, and she told herself she was just checking the window latch because Henderson had mentioned something about the security system last week. Lies she could live with. The office was exactly what she'd expected. Dark wood, expensive leather, walls of books that probably cost more than she made in a year. Adrian's desk was clean, just a laptop and a single photo frame turned toward his chair. Ava moved closer, knowing she shouldn't, doing it anyway. The photo showed a younger Adrian, maybe early 30s, with a woman. She was beautiful in that effortless way some people were, laughing at something off camera, her hand on Adrian's chest. He was looking at her like she was the only person in the world. Max's mother. Had to be. Ava had never asked what happened to her. Adrian didn't talk about it, and the internet was weirdly quiet on the subject. No scandal, no public split, just an absence where someone used to be. She understood that too. Disappearing. The photo made her chest hurt in a way she didn't want to examine. She turned away, scanning the rest of the office. The bookshelves, the bar cart, the filing cabinets. Her eyes caught on something. A folder on the credenza, partially hidden under a newspaper. The tab was labeled in Adrian's sharp handwriting. Background checks. Household staff. Ava's heart stopped. She shouldn't look, shouldn't touch it, should walk out right now and forget she saw anything. Her hands were opening the folder before her brain caught up. Papers, employment records, reference checks. There were files for Henderson, the cook who came twice a week, the cleaning service. And at the bottom, her file. Ava Carter. Date of birth, social security number, previous employment history. Everything she'd given him when she applied. Everything that was technically true, but also completely fabricated. Clipped to the front was a sticky note in Adrian's handwriting. Verify references. Something's off. Her vision tunneled. He was investigating her. The phone call this morning, the questions in the kitchen, the way he'd been watching her lately. This wasn't paranoia. He'd noticed something, and now he was digging. Ava's hands shook as she closed the folder, put it back exactly where she'd found it. Her breath came too fast, too shallow. She needed to think, needed to plan. If Adrian found out the truth, if he discovered who she really was, what she'd run from, the sound of the front door opening nearly stopped her heart. Ava? Henderson's voice echoed through the house. You here? She forced herself to move, to breathe, to walk out of the office like she'd just been passing by. Henderson was in the foyer, holding a package. Delivery, he said, eyeing her. You look pale. Headache. The lie came automatically. I was just going to lie down. Want me to stick around? No, I'm fine. She took the package, something for Max from Amazon. Thanks. Henderson lingered another moment, then nodded and left. Ava waited until she heard his car pull away, then went upstairs to her room, the small suite at the back of the house that was nice enough to make her feel guilty about lying. She sat on the bed, staring at her phone. One missed call. Unknown number. It could be nothing. Could be coincidence. Could be... The phone rang. Same number. Ava's hand moved without permission, answering before she could stop herself. Silence on the other end. Not empty silence, occupied silence. Someone breathing. Hello? Her voice cracked. More breathing, then a sound that made her blood ice over. A laugh, low and familiar and wrong. Found you. The line went dead. Mamosh. Ava sat frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear, her entire body locked in a scream that wouldn't come. The voice echoed in her head. 2 words, but they carried 3 years of weight, 3 years of running, 3 years of lying to herself that she was safe. Found you, Marcus. She dropped the phone like it was burning, scrambled back against the headboard. Her breaths came in gasps that sounded too loud in the quiet room. This wasn't happening, couldn't be happening. She'd been so careful, covered every track, burned every bridge. There was no way he could... Her arm throbbed. She looked down at the scars visible beneath her pushed-up sleeve, the white lines that tracked from wrist to elbow like someone had tried to draw a map on her skin with a knife. Because someone had. Marcus had. The memory hit like a fist, his hand on her throat, the weight of him, the smell of whiskey and rage, his voice low and calm as he explained exactly what he was doing and why. The knife dragging slow because he wanted her to feel every second. You'll never leave me. Never. I'll find you anywhere. I'll always find you. Ava doubled over, fighting nausea. She couldn't do this. Couldn't go back there. Not mentally, not physically. She'd fought too hard to build this life, this safety. She was Ava Carter now, not... She couldn't even think the old name. That woman was gone. But Marcus had found her anyway. Her phone buzzed with a text. She shouldn't look. Knew she shouldn't. But her hand reached for it automatically, and the message was already there, burned into her screen. Nice house. Nice job. Nice kid you're taking care of. Be a shame if something happened to him. The world tilted. Max. This wasn't just about her anymore. Marcus knew where she worked, knew about Max. Which meant he'd been watching, planning, waiting for the right moment to twist the knife. She had to leave. Right now. Pack a bag, get in her car, disappear again. It was the only way to keep Max safe, to keep Adrian from getting pulled into this nightmare. But even as she thought it, she knew it was too late. Marcus didn't make threats he didn't follow through on. If he'd gone to the trouble of finding her, tracking her down, learning about this family, he wasn't going to let her just run. He'd make her pay first. Make everyone around her pay. Ava stood, her legs shaky, and went to the window. The estate stretched out below, manicured lawns, high walls, security cameras on every corner. From the outside, it looked impenetrable. But she knew better than anyone that safety was an illusion. Walls could be climbed, cameras could be avoided, and men like Marcus were patient. She needed to think, needed a plan. But her brain was locked in panic mode, replaying every worst-case scenario, every way this could go wrong. The sound of a car in the driveway made her freeze. She looked out, expecting Henderson. But the black Mercedes pulling through the gates wasn't the security car. It was Adrian's. He was supposed to be in Boston. Ava watched as he got out, moved toward the house with that controlled urgency that meant something was wrong. Her heart hammered. Had something happened? Was Max okay? She forced herself downstairs, trying to school her face into something normal. Adrian was in the foyer, already on his phone. Duh. Don't care what the contract says. Push the meeting. Something came up. He saw her, ended the call. Is Max home yet? No. School gets out at 3. Henderson's picking him up. Good. Adrian's face was tight. We need to talk. Ava's stomach dropped. About what? Your background check. The floor seemed to shift beneath her. I don't understand. Yes, you do. He wasn't angry, which somehow made it worse. Just direct, clinical. The references you listed, I had them verified. 2, don't exist. The third is a dead end. Your social security number is real, but it was issued 8 months before you applied here. Before that, Ava Carter didn't exist. She couldn't speak, couldn't move. Adrian took a step closer, his voice softening. Who are you running from? I'm not... Don't. He held up a hand. I've spent 15 years reading people who lie for a living. You're good, but you're not that good. Something happened to you. Something bad enough that you erased yourself to get away from it. His eyes dropped to her arms, the long sleeves she never took off. And I'm guessing it left marks. Ava's hands instinctively wrapped around herself, hiding, protecting. This isn't your business, she whispered. You live in my house. You take care of my son. That makes it my business. He paused. I'm not trying to hurt you, Ava, but I need to know what I'm dealing with. Because if something's coming, if someone's coming, I need to be ready. The timing was too perfect, too horrible. He found me, Ava heard herself say. Today. He called. He knows I'm here. Adrian went very still. Who? My ex, Marcus. The name tasted like blood. I left him 3 years ago, changed everything. I thought I was safe. What did he do to you? She couldn't answer that, couldn't put words to it. But Adrian was looking at her arms again, and she realized he didn't need words. He'd already figured it out. "Show me the call," he said quietly. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands, showed him the log. Unknown number, 2 calls, 1 answered. He studied it, his jaw tight. "What did he say?" "Found you." Her voice broke. Then he texted, "About Max. About this house. He's been watching." Adrian's expression went dark in a way that should have scared her but didn't. "Does he know I'm Max's father? Does he know who I am?" "I don't know, maybe." "Then he's about to learn something." Adrian pulled out his own phone, made a call. "Henderson, change of plans. Pick Max up, but don't bring him here. Take him to the downtown apartment, the one in the tower. Stay with him until you hear from me. I don't care what he wants. Make something up." "Good." He hung up, already dialing again. "Davis, I need a security team at the estate now. Full detail, armed, because someone's made a threat against my household. Yes, I'm serious. 20 minutes. He ended the call, looked at Ava. "We're going to fix this." "You don't understand. Marcus he's not some random guy. He's dangerous." "So am I." Adrian's voice was cold. "And I've got resources he can't imagine. Money, lawyers, security, connections. If he wants a fight, I'll bury him." "He won't fight fair." "Neither will I." Ava wanted to believe him, wanted to think that walls and guards and money could stop what was coming. But she'd seen Marcus work, seen how patient he could be, how creative. He didn't need to break down the front door. He'd find another way. He always did. "I should leave," she said, "right now, before he does something to Max, or—" "No." "Adrian, no." He stepped closer, his voice firm. "Running didn't work. He still found you. So we're done running. We're standing our ground, and we're ending this. You don't know what you're—" "I know enough." His eyes held hers. "And I know I'm not letting him hurt you again." The words landed strange. Not inappropriate, not unwelcome, but heavy with something neither of them had acknowledged until right now. For 14 months, they'd existed in their separate orbits, employer and employee, father and nanny, 2 people who shared space but not lives. This was different. This was personal. Ava's phone buzzed. Another text. Tick-tock. Adrian saw it over her shoulder and his face went hard. "He's trying to scare you. Don't let him." "He doesn't have to try." Her hands were shaking again. "I'm already scared." "Good. Use it." He took the phone from her, forwarded the messages to himself. "Fear keeps you sharp, but you're not alone anymore. Remember that." Before she could respond, the sound of vehicles approaching made them both turn. Through the window, Ava saw 3 black SUVs pulling through the gates. Adrian's security team. Within minutes, the house was transformed. Men in suits fanned out across the property, checking perimeters, installing additional cameras, sweeping for vulnerabilities. Adrian coordinated everything with the calm efficiency of someone who'd dealt with threats before. Ava stood in the middle of it, feeling both protected and trapped. One of the security team, a woman with sharp eyes and sharper movements, approached Adrian. "Sir, we've got the property locked down. No one's getting in without us knowing." "What about electronic surveillance?" "Sweeping now. If there are any devices, we'll find them." "Good. I want reports every hour." He turned to Ava. "This is Clark. She's going to be your shadow until we resolve this. She doesn't leave your side." Clark nodded at Ava. "Ma'am." "I don't need a babysitter," Ava protested. "You need someone trained to kill if necessary," Adrian said flatly. "Clark qualifies." The matter-of-fact way he said it should have shocked her. Instead, it made her feel something close to safe for the first time since the phone rang. "We're also going to need everything you know about Marcus," Adrian continued. "Real name, last known address, associates, anything that helps us track him." "I don't know much. I ran before—" She stopped. "I didn't exactly stick around for details." "What's his full name?" "Marcus Webb." Saying it out loud made her skin crawl. "Last I knew, he was living in Denver, working construction, I think. But that was 3 years ago." "We'll start there." Adrian nodded to one of his team. "Davis, run Marcus Webb through everything we've got. Criminal record, employment, known associates. I want a full profile by morning." Davis moved off, already on his phone. Ava watched the machinery of Adrian's world kick into gear, money and power leveraged into action. It should have reassured her. It didn't, because Marcus had found her despite every precaution she'd taken, which meant he was either very good or very lucky. Either way, walls and guards might slow him down, but they wouldn't stop him. She pulled Adrian aside, lowering her voice. "You don't have to do this. Max is safe. I can just disappear again." "Stop," he cut her off. "You're not disappearing, and this isn't charity. I protect what's mine." The words hung between them. What's mine? He didn't mean it the way it sounded. At least she didn't think he did. But the possessiveness in his tone was real, and it sparked something in her chest she couldn't name. "I'm not yours," she said quietly. "You're part of this household. You take care of my son. That makes you mine to protect." His eyes held hers, whether you like it or not. Before she could argue, his phone rang. He answered, listened, his expression darkening. "When? How bad?" "Okay. Keep me posted." He hung up, already moving. "We need to check something." "What happened?" "Henderson's apartment building. Someone just tried to access his unit. Security stopped them, but they got away." Ava's blood went cold. "Marcus?" "Maybe. Or someone he sent." Adrian was already heading for his office, Ava and Clark following. "Either way, he's escalating faster than I expected." In the office, Adrian pulled up security footage on his laptop. A grainy feed from Henderson's building showing a man in a baseball cap approaching a door, trying the handle, then bolting when someone appeared. "Can you see his face?" Ava leaned in. Adrian zoomed in, enhanced the image. The quality was poor, but the build was right. The way he moved. Her stomach turned. "That's him." "You're sure?" "I watched him move for 2 years. I'm sure." Adrian made another call. "I need police protection at Henderson's address and at the downtown apartment. I don't care if it's unusual. Someone just attempted a break-in." "Yes, I'll hold." He put a hand over the phone, looked at Ava. "We're going to nail this guy. Attempted break-in, stalking, harassment. I've got lawyers who'll bury him in charges before he can blink." "He won't stop." Ava's voice was hollow. "Legal charges don't scare him. Nothing scares him." "Then we'll have to teach him fear." The coldness in Adrian's tone should have disturbed her. Instead, it made her feel seen in a way she hadn't since this started. Someone was finally taking her seriously, finally treating Marcus like the threat he was. Her phone buzzed again. Another text. "Tell your boyfriend I said hi." Adrian saw it, his jaw tightening. "He's watching the house. Has to be." "Sir." One of the security team appeared in the doorway. "We found a tracker on her car." Ava's knees went weak. Her car. Marcus had been close enough to touch her car, to plant a device. While she'd been driving Max to school, going about her day, thinking she was safe. "How long has it been there?" Adrian demanded. "Can't tell for sure, at least a few days based on the battery." A few days. Marcus had been tracking her for days, watching her patterns, learning the household, planning his next move. "Destroy it," Adrian ordered, "and sweep everything else. Cars, her belongings, every inch of this property." The man left. Adrian turned to Ava, and for the first time she saw something like uncertainty in his face. "I need to ask you something, and I need the truth." "Okay. Is there any chance, any at all, that he could get to Max?" The question punched the air from her lungs. "I would die before I let that happen." "That's not what I asked." She forced herself to think past the panic. "Max is at the apartment with Henderson. Marcus doesn't know about that place. And even if he found out, my security isn't perfect. Nobody's is." Adrian's voice was tight. "I need to know if my son is a target." "He's leverage," Ava said quietly. "Marcus knows I care about Max. He'll use that, but he won't hurt him. Not yet. He'll threaten, manipulate, try to draw me out. He wants me scared." "Well, he succeeded." "Yeah." Ava's laugh was bitter. "He's good at that." Adrian studied her for a long moment, and she wondered what he saw. The scared woman hiding in long sleeves? The nanny who'd lied her way into his home? Or something else? Something that made him willing to turn his entire life upside down to help her? "I'm going to ask you one more time," he said. Who are you really? Ava closed her eyes. Someone who made the mistake of loving the wrong person. Someone who paid for it in scars. Someone who's been running ever since. She opened her eyes. That's all I am. All I've been for 3 years. No, Adrian's voice was firm. That's what you've survived. It's not who you are. The words hit deeper than they should have. She wanted to believe them, wanted to be the person he seemed to see when he looked at her, but she'd stopped believing in that version of herself a long time ago. We should check on Max, she said instead. Adrian nodded, already dialing. The call connected, and Henderson's voice came through on speaker. Everything okay there? Adrian asked. Quiet. Kid's watching a movie. Hasn't asked about you yet, but he will. Tell him I had an emergency meeting. I'll call him before bed. Copy that. Adrian hung up, looked at Ava. He's safe. For now. For longer than that. He moved toward the door. Clark, stick with her. I need to make some calls. Clark nodded, settling into a position by the window where she could see the entire room and the grounds outside. Ava realized the woman probably had a weapon under her jacket, probably knew a dozen ways to kill someone with her bare hands. It should have made her feel safer. The sun was setting now, painting the estate in shades of blood and gold. Ava stood at the window, watching shadows lengthen across the lawn. Somewhere out there, Marcus was watching too. Planning. Waiting. She'd spent 3 years building walls and he'd torn them down in a single phone call. Her phone buzzed. She almost didn't look, but some terrible curiosity made her check. A photo message. It took her brain a second to process what she was seeing. Then her entire world collapsed. The photo showed Max's school, the front entrance, taken today during drop-off. She could see herself in the background, crouching down to talk to Max before he went inside. The caption, "Cute kid, would be a shame if he disappeared." Ava's scream brought everyone running. The phone clattered to the floor. Ava couldn't breathe, couldn't think past the image burned into her mind. Max at school, vulnerable and small, while Marcus watched from somewhere close enough to take that picture. Adrian had the phone before she could move, his face going white as he looked at the screen. When was this taken? This morning. Ava's voice didn't sound like hers. Drop off. He was there. He was right there. Clark was already on her radio, barking orders. Adrian had his phone out, calling Henderson again. Ava stood frozen, her brain replaying the morning in excruciating detail. Walking Max to the door, crouching down to fix his collar, completely unaware that Marcus was watching, that he was close enough to touch her son. Henderson, listen carefully. Adrian's voice was controlled but hard. Do not let Max out of your sight. Not for a second. I don't care if he needs to use the bathroom. You go with him. Someone was at his school this morning. I know. Just do it. He ended the call, turned to his security team. I want eyes on that school right now. Pull security footage from this morning, find out what car he was driving, get a license plate. And I want someone stationed there until further notice. Sir, the school won't allow... I don't care what they allow. My son was photographed by a stalker. They'll cooperate or I'll own that building by morning. Adrian's tone left no room for argument. The man moved fast. Ava sank into a chair, her legs giving out. This was her fault. She'd brought this nightmare into their lives. If something happened to Max because of her... Stop! Adrian was in front of her suddenly, hands on the armrests, forcing her to look at him. I can see you spiraling. Don't! He was at the school. He could have... But he didn't. Max is safe, and he's going to stay that way. You don't know that? Yes, I do. His eyes were fierce. Because I'm not leaving anything to chance. Not with my son. Not with you. The words should have sounded patronizing. Instead, they landed like a promise. Clark appeared in the doorway. Sir, we've got something. Security footage from the school parking lot shows a gray Honda Civic, partial plate, parked across the street during drop-off. It left right after Miss Carter went inside. Run the partial. I want a full plate and registration within the hour. Already on it. Adrian straightened, his mind clearly working through scenarios, calculating risks. Ava had seen him in business mode before. Focused, ruthless, always 3 steps ahead. But this was different. This was personal. We need to move Max, he said. The apartment's good for now, but if Marcus knows about the school, he might know about other properties. Where would we take him? Ava asked. I have a house upstate, off the books, not in my name. Security system, gated access, middle of nowhere. He pulled out his phone again. I'll have Henderson drive him up tonight. Adrian, you can't just pull him out of school, disrupt his entire life because of me. Watch me. He was already dialing. Max's safety comes first. Everything else is negotiable. Ava wanted to argue, but the truth was she agreed. If Marcus was watching the school, if he knew Max's routine, then nowhere in the city was safe. The thought of that little boy being used as leverage made her want to throw up. Her phone buzzed again. She grabbed it before anyone else could, some desperate need to face this herself. Another message. Running won't help. I'll find him wherever you hide him, just like I found you. Adrian saw her face change. What did he say? She showed him. His jaw went tight, but his voice stayed calm. He's bluffing, trying to keep you scared, keep you from making smart moves. That's all this is. What if it's not? Then he underestimates how far I'm willing to go. Adrian turned to Davis, who'd just entered. Talk to me. Marcus Webb, age 34, 2 prior arrests for assault, 1 for domestic violence, charges dropped when the victim recanted, worked construction in Denver until 18 months ago, then dropped off the grid. No employment records, no tax filings, nothing. What about known associates? Still digging, but he's got ties to some rough people. One name keeps coming up, Vincent Kozlov. Russian, suspected organized crime connections, runs a security contracting business that's likely a front. Adrian's expression darkened. So Marcus didn't just find Ava on his own. He had help. Looks that way. Ava's stomach turned. Marcus with resources, with connections to actual criminals. This was worse than she'd thought. Kozlov. I never heard that name when I was with Marcus. Probably met him after you left, Davis said. Best guess? Marcus needed help tracking you down, called in favors. Or paid for it. Adrian was pacing now, thinking. Which means this isn't just about obsession. He invested money, time, professional resources. He's committed. He always was. Ava's voice was hollow. He told me once he'd rather see me dead than with anyone else. I thought he was just being dramatic. Men like that don't bluff. Clark spoke from her position by the window. They mean every word. The room went quiet. Outside, the sun had fully set, leaving the grounds in darkness. The security lights clicked on, flooding the lawn in harsh white. Ava could see the teams patrolling, weapons visible now that night had fallen. She'd turned Adrian's home into a fortress, turned his life into a war zone. I should go. The words came out before she could stop them. Right now, get in my car and just drive. He'll follow me, and you can— No! Adrian didn't even let her finish. That's exactly what he wants. You isolated, vulnerable, easy to grab. I'm not letting that happen. This isn't your fight. You made it my fight the moment you walked into my house and became part of my son's life. He moved closer, his voice dropping. And for what it's worth, I don't want you to go. The admission hung between them, loaded with implications neither was ready to address. Ava's heart kicked against her ribs. Why? She whispered. Because Max needs you. And because— He stopped, seemed to reconsider. Because you don't deserve this. What he did to you, what he's still doing, you deserve better. It was the closest he'd come to acknowledging the scars, the past, the damage Marcus had left behind. Ava felt her throat close. I don't know if I believe that anymore. Then believe me when I say it. Adrian's hand lifted like he might touch her face, then dropped. We're going to end this. Together. Before she could respond, Henderson called. Adrian answered on speaker. Boss, we've got a problem. What kind of problem? Max is asking questions. Wants to know why we're leaving, where we're going, why you're not here. Kid's smart. He knows something's wrong. Adrian closed his eyes briefly. Put him on. There was rustling, then Max's small voice came through. Dad? Hey, buddy. Henderson says we're going on a trip, but I have school tomorrow. I know. Something came up, and I need you to be somewhere safe for a few days. Safe from what? The question was too sharp for a 5-year-old. Ava's chest ached. Just some grown-up stuff, Adrian said carefully. Nothing for you to worry about. Henderson's going to take you to the lake house. Remember that place? The one with the boat? That's the one. You can fish, explore, have some fun. Miss Ava will come see you soon. Is she okay? Max asked, and Ava had to bite her lip to keep from making a sound. She looked sad this morning. She's fine, just tired. Can I talk to her? Adrian looked at Ava. She nodded, took the phone with shaking hands. Hey, Max. Are you really okay? Yeah, sweetheart. I'm okay. You promise? The word caught in her throat. She'd promised him so many things over the past 14 months, that monsters weren't real, that his dad would always come home, that everything would be okay. She'd never lied to him before. I promise, she said, and hoped it wasn't a lie. Okay? He sounded uncertain. Will you come visit soon? As soon as I can. Okay. Love you, Miss Ava. The words broke something in her. Love you too, buddy. She handed the phone back to Adrian before she could fall apart. He finished the call, gave Henderson final instructions, then turned to find Ava with tears streaming down her face. He's going to be fine, Adrian said quietly. I know. She wiped at her eyes angrily. I just hate that he's scared, that he knows something's wrong. Kids are resilient. So are scars. The words came out bitter. Doesn't mean they don't hurt. Adrian didn't have an answer for that. He just stood there, looking at her like he was trying to solve an equation that didn't add up. Clark broke the moment. Sir, we've got the full plate. Cars registered to a rental company. They're pulling records now. Good. Find out what name he used, what credit card. I want to know everywhere he's been in the last week. As Clark left, Adrian's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, frowned. I need to take this. Stay with Davis. He stepped out into the hallway. Davis moved closer to Ava, his expression professional but not unkind. You doing okay, ma'am? Define okay. Fair point. He pulled up a tablet, showed her a map with red dots scattered across it. This is what we've got so far. Known locations where Marcus has been spotted or where his phone pinged. Hotel in Midtown, the school, your car when it was parked at the grocery store last week. Ava stared at the dots, her skin crawling. He'd been following her for at least a week, maybe longer. Watching her shop. Watching her with Max. Learning every detail of her life. How did I not notice? She whispered. You weren't looking for it. Most people never do. Davis zoomed in on the Midtown location. This hotel, he's been there 3 days. Rooms paid through the end of the week. You think he's still there? Doubt it. He's too smart to stay in one place once he's made contact. But it's a starting point. Then Davis made a note on his tablet. We're going to find him, Miss Carter. Mr. Wolf doesn't fail when he sets his mind to something. Marcus doesn't fail either. Then something's got to give. The words felt prophetic. Adrian returned, his face grim. That was my head of legal. I've got a restraining order being filed first thing tomorrow. Stalking, harassment, threats. It won't stop him, but it gives us legal leverage. He'll ignore it, Ava said. I'm counting on it. Every time he violates it, that's another charge. Stack enough of them, and we can put him away. You really think the legal system is going to stop him? No. Adrian's voice was cold. But it'll slow him down while I find another solution. Ava didn't ask what that solution was. Wasn't sure she wanted to know. Her phone buzzed. She didn't want to look, but Adrian was already reaching for it. This time the message was different. Let's talk, face to face. Just you and me. Like old times. Absolutely not, Adrian said before Ava could even process the words. He wants to meet. He wants to isolate you. Get you alone. No witnesses, no protection. Adrian deleted the message like he could erase the threat with it. Not happening. What if I wore a wire, had security nearby? No. Adrian, I said no. His voice was sharp. You're not bait. We'll find another way. There might not be another way. If he wants to talk, maybe he wants to finish what he started 3 years ago. Adrian's eyes were hard. I've read about men like him. Domestic abusers who can't let go. They escalate. First it's calls, then it's threats, then it's violence. You meeting him alone is exactly what he wants. I'm not afraid of him. The lie tasted wrong even as she said it. Yes, you are. You should be. Because he's proven he's willing to hurt you. Adrian's hand lifted again, this time actually touching her arm, over the sleeve, careful, but there. And I'm not willing to risk that. The touch burned. Not painful, just intense. No one had touched her in 3 years. Not like this. Not with intention. She pulled away, needing space. What do we do then? Just wait? Hope he makes a mistake? We apply pressure, make him react, not act, push him into doing something stupid. And if he doesn't, then we get creative. Before Ava could ask what that meant, the lights went out. The estate plunged into darkness. Emergency lights kicked on after a second, bathing everything in red. Clark was on her radio immediately, weapon drawn. All units, report. What just happened? Static then. Power's been cut, main line. Someone knew exactly where to hit it. Ava's heart stopped. He's here. Everyone stay calm, Adrian ordered, but his hand was on Ava's back, already moving her toward the interior of the house, away from windows. Clark, get her to the safe room. Sir, we should all... I'm not hiding while someone attacks my home. Adrian's voice was steel. Get her secured, now. Clark grabbed Ava's arm, pulled her toward a door Ava had never noticed before, hidden in the paneling of the hallway. It opened to reveal a small, reinforced room, metal walls, supplies, a phone. Inside, Clark ordered. No, I'm not leaving Adrian out there. He's got a team. You're the target. Inside. Now. The authority in Clark's voice left no room for argument. Ava stumbled into the safe room and the door sealed behind her with a heavy thunk. She was alone in the dark, the emergency light casting everything in blood-red shadows. Through the thick walls she could hear muffled shouting, footsteps running, then gunfire. 3 shots, rapid, somewhere outside. Ava's legs gave out. She slid down the wall, hands pressed to her ears like that could block out the sound, block out the nightmare unfolding. This was her fault. Marcus was here because of her. If anyone died tonight, if Adrian died, it would be because she'd brought this poison into their lives. The phone on the wall rang. Ava stared at it, her mind blank with terror. It rang again. She forced herself to stand to answer. Hello? Miss me? Marcus's voice poured through the line like oil. Nice little bunker you've got there. Very fancy. How did you... Psst. I told you I'd find you anywhere. Did you think walls would stop me? Money? Your rich boyfriend's security team? He laughed. I'm already inside, sweetheart. Have been for the past 10 minutes. Ava's vision tunneled. You're lying. Am I? Check the camera feed, top left corner of the room. See that little red light? She looked. There. A camera she'd missed, its indicator glowing in the darkness. I can see you, Marcus continued. Scared little Ava hiding in the dark, just like old times. Remember when you used to hide in the closet, and I'd find you anyway? The memories hit like fists, his hand on her throat, the closet door ripping open, his smile in the darkness. What do you want? Her voice shook. What I've always wanted, you, but since you made this complicated, I'm going to have to send a message first. Marcus, please, tell your boyfriend I'm coming for him. Then I'm coming for the kid, and when I'm done making you watch everyone you care about suffer, then I'm coming for you. His voice dropped to a whisper. And this time, I'm going to finish what I started. The line went dead. Ava screamed, pounded on the door. Adrian! Adrian, he's inside! He's in the house! No response. Just the muffled chaos beyond the walls and her own breathing. Too fast, too shallow. She was going to pass out. Could feel the edges of her vision going gray. Her chest was too tight, lungs refusing to work properly. Not now. She couldn't break now. The door opened. Clark stood there, weapon raised, sweeping the hallway. We're moving. Stay behind me. Marcus called. He said he's inside. We know. We're doing a full sweep. Come on. Ava followed her out into the red-lit hallway. The house felt wrong, violated. Every shadow could be hiding him. Every sound could be his footsteps. Clark moved like a soldier, checking corners, her weapon never wavering. They made it to Adrian's office, where he was coordinating the security team, his face tight with controlled fury. She said he called, Adrian demanded. The safe room phone. He could see me through the camera. He's been watching. Adrian's hands curled into fists. How long? I don't know. He said 10 minutes, but check every camera in this house, Adrian barked at Davis. Find out what he's seen, where he's been. Davis was already pulling up feeds on his laptop, scanning through footage. Sir, I've got movement. Kitchen, 3 minutes ago. Male, medium build, wearing black. He knew where the cameras were, kept his face hidden. Is he still here? Searching now. The next few minutes felt like hours. Ava stood frozen while Adrian's team swept the house, room by room, calling out clears. The power came back on suddenly, harsh overhead lights replacing the red emergency glow. All clear, someone finally reported. He's gone. Must have slipped out when we were focused on the perimeter. How did he get in? Adrian's voice was dangerous. Back door, lock was picked. Professional job. Adrian turned to Ava and she saw something in his face she'd never seen before. Fear. Not for himself. For her. He was in the house, Adrian said quietly, while you were in the safe room. He could have, but he didn't. Ava's voice sounded steadier than she felt. He wanted to send a message. He's playing with us. Then the message is received. Adrian pulled out his phone. I'm done playing. What are you doing? Calling someone who doesn't play by the rules I usually follow. He walked away, already dialing, his voice dropping too low for her to hear. Clark touched Ava's arm. You should sit down. You're pale. I'm fine. You're not. And that's okay. What just happened? That would shake anyone. Ava wanted to argue, but her legs were shaking, her hands trembling. She sank into a chair, and suddenly it all hit her. The calls, the photos, the break-in. Marcus was escalating faster than anyone expected, and he wasn't going to stop until he got what he wanted, which was her, broken and bleeding and begging. Adrian returned, his expression unreadable. I've made some calls. We're going to relocate. Tonight. Somewhere Marcus can't find us. Where? Better if you don't know yet. Less chance of him getting the information. He crouched in front of her chair, meeting her eyes. Ava, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She wanted to. Wanted to believe that money and power and resources could protect her from a man who'd proven he could reach her anywhere. But trust was a currency she'd run out of years ago. I don't know how to trust anyone anymore, she admitted. Then don't trust the situation. Just trust me. His hand covered hers, warm and solid. I won't let him hurt you again. I promise. Promises. She'd heard those before too, but something in Adrian's eyes made her want to believe this one might actually mean something. Okay, she whispered. Good. He stood, already moving into action mode. Pack a bag. Light. We leave in 30 minutes. As Ava headed upstairs, escorted by Clark, she caught sight of herself in a hallway mirror. She looked like a ghost, pale, hollow-eyed, haunted. The woman staring back wasn't the confident Nanny who'd applied for this job 14 months ago. She was someone else. Someone broken. Or maybe she was just finally seeing herself clearly. In her room, she threw clothes into a bag with shaking hands. Her phone buzzed. She almost didn't check it. Another photo. This time it showed Adrian's office from outside the window. Recent. She could see Adrian in the frame, on the phone, his back to the camera. The caption, nice house. Shame if something happened to it. Or him. Ava's hands went numb. Marcus wasn't just threatening her anymore. He was threatening Adrian directly. And if he was willing to break into the house, if he had the skills and resources to bypass security, then nowhere was safe. She grabbed the bag, headed back downstairs. Adrian was waiting with Clark and 2 other security personnel Ava didn't recognize, hard-faced men who looked like they'd seen combat. Ready? Adrian asked. As I'll ever be. They moved to the garage where a black SUV with tinted windows waited. Not Adrian's usual car, something armored, reinforced, built for protection. You're riding with Clark and Martinez, Adrian said. I'm in the second vehicle. If anything happens, nothing's going to happen, Ava interrupted. She couldn't stand to hear him plan for worst-case scenarios. Let's just go. He studied her face, then nodded. Straight there, no stops. If you see anything suspicious, Clark has authorization to use force. The words should have scared her. Instead, they were almost comforting. Ava climbed into the SUV, Clark beside her, Martinez driving. Through the window, she watched Adrian get into the second vehicle, his phone still pressed to his ear, still coordinating, still fighting for her. The thought made her chest ache in a way she couldn't name. The vehicles pulled out, moving fast through the estate gates and onto the dark roads beyond. Ava watched the house disappear in the mirrors, and part of her wondered if she'd ever see it again. Her phone buzzed one last time. "Run all you want. I'll be waiting." She turned it off, threw it on the floor, and pressed her face to the window. The city lights blurred past, each one a tiny beacon in the darkness. People going about their lives, unaware that somewhere in the same streets, a nightmare was hunting. And for the first time in 3 years, Ava wasn't sure running would be enough to save her. They drove for 2 hours in silence, broken only by Clark's occasional check-ins with the other vehicle. Ava watched the city give way to suburbs, then to darkness punctuated by highway lights that seemed to stretch forever. Her mind kept circling back to the same thought. Marcus inside the house, his voice on that phone, the certainty in his words when he promised to come for everyone she cared about. She'd spent 3 years believing distance would save her. Now she understood it had only bought time. "We're approaching the location," Martinez said, his voice low. Through the windshield, Ava could make out a narrow road branching off the highway, unmarked and easy to miss. They took it, the pavement quickly turning to gravel, trees pressing in on both sides. "Where are we?" Ava asked. "Secure location," Clark said, which wasn't really an answer. "Mr. Wolf owns the property through a shell company, no public records linking it to him." The road opened up to reveal a compound, not a house, a compound. High walls, security gate, multiple buildings visible in the floodlights. It looked more like a private military installation than a safe house. The vehicles pulled through the gate, which sealed behind them with a heavy clang that made Ava flinch. Adrian was out of his car before it fully stopped, moving toward her door. "You okay?" he asked as she climbed out. "I don't know what I am anymore." He nodded like he understood. "Come inside, we can talk." The main building was sparse. Functional furniture, bare walls, the kind of place designed to be abandoned quickly if needed. Adrian led her to what might generously be called a living room, where a fire was already burning in the fireplace. Someone had been here before them, preparing. "Sit," Adrian said, and it wasn't a command, just concern. Ava sank onto the couch, exhaustion hitting her all at once. She couldn't remember the last time she'd slept, couldn't remember the last time she'd felt safe enough to try. Adrian poured 2 glasses of whiskey from a bottle on the side table, handed her one. "Drink. You're shaking." She hadn't noticed. The whiskey burned going down, but it helped settle something in her chest. "How long do we stay here?" she asked. "As long as it takes." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have right now." Adrian sat across from her, the firelight casting shadows across his face. "I've got people working on finding Marcus, the rental car he used, the hotel, his connection to Kozlov. We're pulling every thread. But he's smart. He knows how to disappear. I taught him that." The words came out before she could stop them. Adrian's expression shifted. "What do you mean?" Ava took another drink, the alcohol loosening something she'd kept locked down for years. "When we were together, before everything went bad, I was studying criminal justice. Wanted to be a victim advocate, help people escape bad situations. The irony's not lost on me." Her laugh was bitter. "I used to tell Marcus about the cases I studied, how people disappeared, changed identities, evaded stalkers. He'd listen like he was interested, ask questions. I thought he was being supportive. He was learning." "Yeah." She stared into the fire. "So when I finally ran, I used every trick I'd ever mentioned. New name, new city, cash only, burner phones. And he knew exactly what to look for because I'd basically given him the playbook." "That's not your fault." "Isn't it?" She looked at him. "I stayed with him for 2 years. 2 years of red flags I ignored because I thought I could fix him. Thought my love would be enough to change him. Ava, the first time he hit me, he cried after. Swore it would never happen again, and I believed him." Her voice cracked. "The second time, he didn't cry. He just explained why it was my fault. And somehow, I believed that too." Adrian's hands tightened on his glass. "How many times?" "I stopped counting." She pulled up her sleeve before she could think better of it, exposing the network of scars on her forearm. "These were from the last night, when I told him I was leaving. He decided if he couldn't have me, he'd make sure no one else would want me either. The scars were extensive, deliberate cuts arranged in a pattern that looked almost artistic if you didn't know they'd been carved while she screamed. Adrian's face went white. He did that to you. He did a lot of things to me. Ava pulled her sleeve back down, suddenly cold despite the fire. But that was the night I understood he was going to kill me eventually. So I waited until he passed out, and I ran. Took nothing but my purse and the clothes I was wearing. Didn't go back, didn't look back, just ran. Where did you go? Denver first. Changed my name, my hair, everything. Worked cash jobs for 6 months, saved every penny. Then I heard he was asking around about me, showing my picture, so I moved to Phoenix, then Portland, then here. She met his eyes. 14 months was the longest I'd stayed anywhere since I left him. I was starting to think maybe I'd actually made it, that maybe I could have a life again. You can. Can I? The question came out harsh. He found me, Adrian. After 3 years in 4 cities and a completely new identity, he still found me. What kind of life is that? Always looking over my shoulder, always waiting for the other shoe to drop? The kind where you stop running and start fighting back. I don't know how to do that. Then I'll teach you. Adrian set down his glass, leaned forward. You survived him once. You can survive him again, but this time you're not alone. The words hit harder than they should have. Ava had been alone so long she'd forgotten what it felt like to have someone in her corner. Why are you doing this? She asked quietly. You barely know me. I lied to you about who I am. I brought a dangerous man to your doorstep. Any sane person would fire me and wash their hands of this mess. Adrian was quiet for a long moment, studying her face like he was trying to decide something. Finally, he said, My wife, Max's mother, she died 4 years ago. Cancer. It was fast. 6 months from diagnosis to gone. Ava's breath caught. I'm sorry. The worst part wasn't watching her die. It was watching her give up. She stopped fighting 3 months in, just decided she was done and let go. His voice was rough. I begged her to keep trying. Told her we'd find another treatment, another specialist. But she looked at me and said she was tired, that some fights aren't worth finishing. Adrian, I've regretted respecting that decision every day since. Wondered if I'd pushed harder, if I'd refused to let her quit, would she still be here? He looked at Ava. So when I see someone who's still fighting, who's survived hell and is still standing, I don't walk away. I can't. The confession hung between them, raw and honest. Ava felt tears burning behind her eyes. I'm not her, she whispered. I know, but you're someone worth fighting for anyway. He stood, moved to the fireplace, his back to her. Max loves you. In 14 months, you became more of a mother to him than any nanny we've ever had. You read to him even when you're exhausted. You remember how he likes his sandwiches cut. You notice when he's scared and you don't dismiss it. That's my job. It stopped being just a job months ago for him, and Adrian stopped himself. The point is you matter. To Max. To this family. And I don't abandon people who matter. Ava stood, crossed to where he stood, needing him to understand. Marcus won't stop. Even if we find him, even if you get him arrested, he'll come back eventually. Men like him always do. Then we'll be ready. You can't live like that, in a fortress, always waiting. Watch me. Adrian turned to face her, and the intensity in his eyes made her step back. You think I built my company by backing down from threats? I grew up with nothing, Ava, fought for every dollar, every opportunity, made enemies who tried to destroy me more times than I can count, and I'm still here because I don't quit when things get hard. This isn't business. No, it's personal, which makes it more important. He moved closer, closing the distance she'd created. I couldn't save my wife, but I can save you, so let me. The words should have felt patronizing. Instead, they felt like a lifeline. I don't know how to let people help me, Ava admitted. Start small. Stay here. Rest. Let my team do their job. Can you do that? She wanted to say yes. Wanted to believe it could be that simple. But her phone, abandoned in the car, would have more messages by now. More threats. More proof that Marcus was always one step ahead. What if he comes here? She asked. Then he finds out what happens when someone threatens my family. The word family hit different than it should have. Ava wasn't family. She was an employee. But the way Adrian said it, the way he was looking at her, it felt like maybe the lines had blurred somewhere along the way. Clark appeared in the doorway, breaking the moment. "Sir, we've got an update. You'll want to hear this." They followed her to what appeared to be a command center, computers, monitors, communication equipment. Davis was there, along with two people Ava didn't recognize. "Talk to me," Adrian said. "Marcus Webb's rental car was found abandoned 3 blocks from your estate. He dumped it right after the break-in." Davis pulled up images on a monitor. "But we got lucky. Traffic camera caught him getting into another vehicle. Black sedan, plates registered to Kozlov's company. So they're definitely working together. More than that. We traced Kozlov's financial records. He's been paying for everything. The hotel, the rental car, equipment. Marcus is broke. Has been since he left Denver. This whole operation is Kozlov funded." Adrian's expression darkened. Why would Kozlov invest that kind of money in helping a nobody track down his ex? That's where it gets interesting. Davis clicked to another screen showing what looked like a business contract. 3 months ago, Kozlov tried to buy your security tech division. You turned him down. I turned down a lot of people. But you don't usually humiliate them in the process. According to our sources, you called his operation third-rate and his business a front for money laundering in front of his board. Adrian's jaw tightened. He came at me with an insultingly low offer and threats if I didn't accept. I responded accordingly. Well, he's responding back. Best we can figure, he found Marcus, probably through his criminal connections, and saw an opportunity. Help Marcus get to you through Ava, because chaos in your personal life. Maybe force you to sell the division to deal with the distraction. Ava felt sick. This isn't just about me. It's about hurting Adrian. You're the weapon, Clark said. Marcus is the trigger. Kozlov's the hand pulling it. So we're dealing with 2 threats, Adrian said. Personal and professional. Intertwined, Davis corrected, which makes it complicated. Ava's mind was racing. Marcus doesn't care about business. He's not doing this for money. No, Adrian agreed, but Kozlov is, which means they have different goals. That's a weakness we can exploit. How? Before anyone could answer, an alarm blared. Everyone moved at once, hands going to weapons, Davis pulling up security feeds. Perimeter breach, he reported. South wall. Multiple heat signatures. How many? Adrian demanded. 4, maybe 5. They're moving fast. Lock it down. Get everyone to defensive positions. Adrian turned to Ava. Safe room. Now. No. The word came out stronger than she expected. I'm done hiding while everyone else fights my battles. Ava, this isn't the time. He's here because of me. If there's going to be a fight, I should be part of it. You're not trained for this. Neither was I trained to survive 2 years with Marcus. But I did. She met his eyes. I'm tired of being the victim. Let me be something else. Adrian looked like he wanted to argue, but Clark interrupted. Sir, they're at the gate, armed, professional formation. Kozlov's people, Davis said. This is a hit. The compound erupted into controlled chaos. Security personnel took positions, weapons ready. Clark pressed a gun into Ava's hand. Safety's here. Point and shoot if anyone gets close. Don't hesitate. The weight of it felt wrong and right at the same time. Ava had never held a gun before, never wanted to, but standing there with Marcus and Kozlov's team closing in, it felt necessary. The gate held for 30 seconds before the explosion. The blast rocked the building, alarms screaming, lights flickering. Through the windows, Ava saw figures moving through the smoke, advancing with military precision. They're not trying to be subtle, Adrian said, his voice eerily calm. They want a war. Then let's give them one, Clark responded, already moving toward the entrance. Gunfire erupted outside, sharp cracks that made Ava flinch despite herself. Adrian grabbed her arm, pulled her behind cover as windows shattered. Stay down, he ordered. You too. Not really my style. He was at a window then, assessing the situation with the cold calculation of someone who'd done this before. Ava realized she knew almost nothing about Adrian's past beyond the business empire. What had he done before he became a billionaire? What made him so comfortable in a firefight? They're trying to flank, Adrian called to Clark. West side. On it. More gunfire. Someone screamed. Ava couldn't tell if it was their people or the attackers. Her hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped the gun. Then the front door exploded inward. Two men in tactical gear stormed in, weapons raised. Clark dropped one with a headshot before he made it 3 steps. Martinez took the second with 2-round center mass. But more were coming. Ava could hear them outside, coordinating, pressing the attack. This wasn't a probe. This was a full assault. "Fall back," Adrian ordered. "Defensive positions in the interior." They retreated deeper into the compound, Adrian's hand never leaving Ava's arm. Her mind was screaming that this was her fault, that everyone here was going to die because of her, but her body just kept moving. They made it to a reinforced room, concrete walls, steel door, the kind of place built to withstand exactly this scenario. Adrian shoved her inside along with 2 security personnel. "Stay here. Don't open this door for anyone but me or Clark." "Where are you going?" "To end this." He was already moving back toward the fight. "Adrian, wait." But he was gone, the door sealing behind him with a heavy thunk that felt too final. Ava was left in the half-dark with 2 men she didn't know, listening to gunfire and shouting through walls that muffled everything into nightmare sounds. She gripped the gun Clark had given her. Her finger hovering near the trigger, trying to remember if there was a round in the chamber or if she needed to do something first. One of the security guys noticed. "It's ready. Just aim and squeeze if you need to. I've never shot anyone. Hopefully you won't have to tonight." The words didn't comfort her. Minutes passed like hours. The sounds outside changed, less gunfire, more shouting, then silence that was somehow worse than the chaos. Ava's heart hammered. Were they winning? Losing? Was Adrian alive? The door handle rattled. Both security personnel raised their weapons. Ava did the same, her hand steadier than she expected. "It's Clark," came a voice from outside. "Stand down." They did. The door opened, revealing Clark with blood on her face. Not hers, from the look of it. "Clear?" one of the men asked. 3 hostiles down, 2 captured, rest retreated. "We're secure." Clark looked at Ava. "You can breathe now." Ava realized she'd been holding her breath. "Adrian?" "Alive. Minor injury. He wants to see you." They found him in what had been the living room, now destroyed by gunfire and debris. He had a makeshift bandage around his arm, blood seeping through, but he was upright and giving orders into a phone. "Boom, bam." "Don't care what time it is. Get the police out here. Multiple casualties, attempted murder. Yes, I know who I am. Send everyone." He hung up, saw Ava. "You okay? You're bleeding." "Barely." He looked at his arm like he'd forgotten about it. "Grazed me. I've had worse." "When? Where? What did you do before all this?" The questions tumbled out, adrenaline making her speak without filter. Adrian almost smiled. "Long story. Ask me when we're not standing in a war zone." The captured attackers were zip-tied in the corner, guarded by Martinez. They looked professional, military bearing, expensive gear, not street thugs. Kozlov had sent his best. "Where's Marcus?" Ava asked, scanning the room. "Not here," Davis reported. These were Kozlov's people. "Marcus didn't come." "Why not?" "Because he's not stupid," Adrian said. "He let Kozlov do the heavy lifting. If it worked, great. If not, he stays clean." So he's still out there. For now. One of the captured men spat blood on the floor. "You're dead, Wolf. You and your bitch. Kozlov doesn't forget." Adrian moved so fast, Ava barely tracked it. He was in the man's face, his voice dropping to something dangerous. "Tell Kozlov I'm going to dismantle his entire operation. Every business, every asset, every dirty deal. And when I'm done, he'll wish he'd never heard my name." The man sneered. "Big talk from a—" Adrian's fist connected with his jaw, snapping his head back. "That's a down payment. The rest comes later." Sirens approached in the distance. Adrian stepped back, flexing his hand. "Police are coming," he said. "Everyone knows the story. Armed assault, home invasion. We defended ourselves. Keep it simple." The next hour was chaos of a different kind. Police, ambulances, crime scene investigators. Ava gave her statement 3 times to 3 different detectives, all of whom looked at her like she was the victim and the cause simultaneously. One detective, older with kind eyes, pulled her aside. "Miss Carter, I need to ask, Is this connected to a domestic situation? Why would you think that? Because professional hits don't usually target nannies. And you've got that look. The one women get when they're running from something. Ava's throat closed. It's complicated. It always is. He handed her a card. If you want to talk, official or unofficial, call me. And if there's someone out there who needs stopping, tell me now, before more people get hurt. She wanted to tell him everything. About Marcus, about the scars, about 3 years of running. But Adrian appeared at her elbow, smooth and authoritative. Detective, Miss Carter has been through enough tonight. If you need additional statements, you can contact my legal team to schedule them. The detective's eyes narrowed, but he backed off. Of course, Mr. Wolf, just trying to help. When he was gone, Adrian guided Ava away from the chaos. You okay? Everyone keeps asking me that. I don't know the answer. Fair enough. He looked at the destruction around them. Bullet holes, broken glass, bloodstains. We can't stay here. Kozlov knows this location now. Where do we go? I'm working on it. His phone rang. He checked the screen, answered. Talk to me. When? Is he sure? Okay. Keep eyes on him. Don't engage without my authorization. He hung up, his expression grim. They found Marcus. Ava's stomach dropped. Where? Watching Max's school. He was there this morning, taking pictures of the building, talking to someone on the phone. Security footage caught him. He's not going to stop. No, Adrian agreed, which is why we're not waiting for him to make the next move. We're going on offense. What does that mean? It means I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. A meeting, face to face, his terms. That's insane. He'll kill you. He'll try. Adrian's smile was cold. But I've got advantages he doesn't know about. And I'm betting on him being arrogant enough to think he's already won. You're using yourself as bait. I'm ending this. There's a difference. Before Ava could argue, her phone, retrieved from the car, buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, her hand shaking. A message from an unknown number. I hope everyone you care about is okay. Would be terrible if they weren't. Let's talk. Tomorrow. Alone. Or next time I won't miss. Attached was a photo that made her blood run cold. Max at the lake house, visible through a window, Henderson beside him. Marcus had found him. Ava's vision tunneled. The photo on her screen blurred as her hands started shaking so violently she nearly dropped the phone. Max. He'd found Max. Adrian saw her face change, grabbed the phone before she could collapse. His expression went from controlled to lethal in half a second. Get Henderson on the line now, he barked at Davis. I want confirmation that Max is secure and I want it 30 seconds ago. Davis was already dialing, phone pressed to his ear. The seconds stretched like wire pulled too tight. Everyone in the room had gone still, watching, waiting. Henderson, Davis said finally. Status check on the package. What do you mean he's in the bathroom? Go check. Right now. His face paled. I don't care if he's 5 years old. You don't let him out of your sight. Go. Adrian's hand was on Ava's shoulder, the only thing keeping her upright. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think past the image of Marcus outside that window, watching Max the same way he'd watched her for 2 years before everything went bad. Henderson's got him, Davis said, relief flooding his voice. Kid's fine. Washing his hands, Henderson's moving him to the interior room now. No windows. How did Marcus get that photo? Adrian's voice was dangerously quiet. Has to be from outside the perimeter. Long-range lens probably took it hours ago before we tightened security. Probably isn't good enough. I want that property swept again, every inch, and I want counter-surveillance up. If he's watching, I want to know from where. Clark was already coordinating on her radio. Ava stood frozen, her mind replaying every interaction she'd had with Max, every time she'd tucked him in or read him a story or promised him everything would be okay. All those promises felt like lies now. I need to go to him, she said, her voice cracking. You can't, Adrian said, gentle but firm. That's exactly what Marcus wants. You on the move, vulnerable, separated from protection. I don't care what he wants. That's a 5-year-old child who's scared, who has trained security with him and doesn't know he's in danger. The moment you show up panicked, he'll know something's wrong. Is that what you want? The words hit like a slap. Ava forced herself to breathe, to think past the terror. Adrian was right. Max was safer not knowing, safer with professional protection than with her emotional breakdown. I want to talk to him, she said instead. Just hear his voice. Adrian nodded to Davis, who made the call. A moment later, Henderson's voice came through on speaker. He's asking for Miss Ava, Henderson said. Wants to know when she's coming to visit. Put him on, Ava managed. Rustling, then Max's small voice. Miss Ava. She closed her eyes, forced steadiness she didn't feel. Hey, buddy, how's the lake house? It's okay, but there's no TV and Henderson won't let me go outside. I know it's boring, but you're doing me a big favor by staying inside today, okay? Just for a little while. Why? Because a monster is hunting us. Because I brought evil into your life. Because I might get you killed. Because your dad and I need to take care of some grown-up stuff, and we need to know you're safe while we do it. Can you be brave for me? I guess. He sounded uncertain. Are you coming soon? As soon as I can, I promise. You said that before. The accusation in his voice, not angry, just hurt, broke something in her chest. I know, and I meant it. Max, Her voice caught. I love you, okay? Remember that. I love you too. He paused. You sound sad. Just tired. Go play with Henderson. I'll see you soon. She ended the call before he could ask more questions she couldn't answer. When she looked up, Adrian was watching her with an expression she couldn't read. We end this tonight, he said. No more waiting, no more reacting. How? I'm going to call Marcus, offer him a meeting, me for you. No. Ava's response was immediate. That's suicide. That's strategy. He wants you, but he also wants to hurt me. I give him a chance at both, he'll take it. And when he does, we'll be ready. Ready how? You saw what Kozlov sent, professional killers. Marcus is working with people who have resources. So do I. Adrian pulled out his phone, scrolled through contacts, stopped on a name. I've got people too. People who make Kozlov's team look like mall security. Who? Better you don't know details. Plausible deniability. He made the call. It's me. I need the package we discussed. Yes, tonight. The usual terms. Good. He hung up, looked at Clark. ETA 2 hours. Get everyone positioned. Sir, if this goes wrong, it won't. But if it does, we need contingencies. The contingency is we don't fail. Adrian's tone left no room for argument. Marcus wants a war, we'll give him one. But we choose the battlefield. Ava felt like she was watching a stranger. This wasn't the businessman who'd hired her 14 months ago, the reserved father who came home exhausted from board meetings. This was someone else. Someone comfortable with violence in a way that should have scared her. It didn't. What do you need me to do? She asked. Stay alive. Stay hidden. Let me handle this. I'm not hiding anymore. Ava. He's been controlling my life for 3 years. Even when I thought I was free, I was still running from him, still letting him dictate where I went, who I talked to, how I lived. She met Adrian's eyes. I'm done. If you're setting a trap, I'm the bait. That's how this works. Absolutely not. It's not your choice. They stared at each other, wills clashing. Finally, Adrian looked away first, his jaw tight. If we do this, we do it my way. You follow every instruction exactly. No improvising, no heroics. Fine. I mean it. One wrong move and this whole thing falls apart. I understand. He didn't look convinced, but he pulled out her phone, typed a message, showed it to her before sending. I'll meet you. Alone. But you leave Max and Adrian out of this, just you and me. He won't believe I'd come alone, Ava said. He'll believe you're desperate enough to try. Adrian hit send before she could argue. And desperate people make mistakes. The response came within seconds. Finally. Tomorrow, 10 p.m. Old Warehouse District on 5th and Halstead. Come alone, or everyone dies. Adrian showed the message to his team. We've got 24 hours. Clark, I want that location scouted by dawn. Every entrance, every exit, every sightline. Davis, find me blueprints. I want to know that building better than Marcus does. On it. And someone get me a line to the police. I want them on standby but out of sight. If this goes south, I need them close. Everyone scattered. Ava stood in the middle of the chaos, feeling strangely calm. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was acceptance. After 3 years of running, she was finally going to face him. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, it felt almost like relief. Adrian appeared at her elbow. We should get out of here. Police are wrapping up, but this place is compromised. Where are we going? Downtown apartment, the one where Max was before. It's secure, and Kozlov doesn't know about it. The drive back to the city was tense. Clark drove, Adrian beside her coordinating on his phone, Ava in the back watching the darkness slide past. Somewhere out there, Marcus was probably celebrating, thinking he'd won, thinking she was walking into his trap. Let him think that. They reached the apartment building, luxury high-rise, doorman, security that looked actual former military. Adrian's apartment was on the top floor, all windows and expensive furniture that felt cold after the estate's warmth. There's food in the kitchen, Adrian said, already moving toward what looked like an office. Try to eat something. It's going to be a long night. Ava wasn't hungry, but she went through the motions anyway. Made coffee she didn't drink, stared at a sandwich she couldn't eat. Her mind was racing through tomorrow night, through all the ways it could go wrong. She found Adrian an hour later in his office, surrounded by papers and laptop screens showing building schematics. Can't sleep? He asked without looking up. Can you? No. He sat back, rubbed his eyes. I keep running scenarios, most of them end badly. Comforting. Honest. He gestured to a chair. Sit. Talk to me. About what? Anything. Distract me from thinking about all the ways my plan could get you killed. Ava sat, pulled her knees up. Tell me about before the Empire, and the money, and whatever made you comfortable in a gunfight. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. You really want to know? I'm trusting you with my life tomorrow. Seems fair, I know who I'm trusting. He nodded slowly, seeming to weigh something. I grew up in Detroit, bad part. The kind of place where you learned to fight or you didn't survive. My dad was gone before I could walk. Mom worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. He paused. I joined the military at 18, Marines. Did 2 tours overseas, saw things that convinced me I never wanted to be that powerless again. What kind of things? The kind you don't talk about at dinner parties. His voice was flat. After I got out, I used my GI Bill for business school. Started a tech company in my garage with $2,000 and a laptop. It took off. 5 years later, I was a millionaire. 10 years, a billionaire. And you learn to handle guns and tactical situations in the Marines. Among other skills, he met her eyes. I'm not a good man, Ava. I've done things I'm not proud of, made choices that hurt people, but I protect what's mine. I'm not yours. You keep saying that. He leaned forward. But you're wrong. The moment you became important to Max, you became important to me. That's how this works. I don't know how to be important to anyone. You already are. To my son, to... He stopped himself again, looked away. Tomorrow's going to be dangerous. If something goes wrong, if you get a chance to run, you take it. Don't worry about me. Are you seriously suggesting I abandon you? I'm suggesting you survive. That's all that matters. No. Ava's voice was firm. We both survive or neither of us does. Those are the options. Adrian smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. You're stubborn. I learned from the best. They sat in silence, the weight of tomorrow pressing down. Finally, Ava stood. I should try to sleep, or at least pretend to. Ava? Adrian's voice stopped her at the door. Whatever happens tomorrow, thank you for trusting me, for letting me help. Thank you for not giving up on me. She left before he could respond, found the guest room Clark had pointed out earlier. The bed was too soft, the room too quiet. She lay there staring at the ceiling, her mind refusing to shut down. Her phone buzzed. Against every instinct, she checked it. Another message from Marcus. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. It's been too long. I've missed my favorite canvas. The casual cruelty of it, referring to her scars as art, made her stomach turn. She should delete it, should turn off the phone. Instead, she responded, I'm not that person anymore. His reply was instant. We'll see about that. Ava threw the phone across the room, heard it hit the wall. Immediately regretted it. What if Adrian needed to reach her? What if something happened with Max? She retrieved it. Screen cracked, but still functional. No new messages. Sleep came in fits and starts, plagued by dreams of Marcus with a knife. Max crying for help she couldn't give. Adrian bleeding out while she watched helplessly. She woke every hour in a cold sweat, disoriented until she remembered where she was. By dawn, she gave up. Found Adrian in the kitchen already dressed, looking like he hadn't slept either. "Coffee?" he offered. "Please." They drank in silence, the morning light painting the city in shades of gold. It would have been beautiful if Ava could focus on anything except the clock ticking toward 10 p.m. Davis arrived at 7 with the rest of the team. They spread out schematics on the dining table, marking positions and fallback points. "The warehouse has 3 main entrances," Davis explained. "Marcus will expect you to use the front. We're betting he's got people watching it." "So we don't use the front," Adrian said. "There's a loading dock on the east side, old, mostly forgotten. We can get in there, position our people before you arrive." "He'll have the interior covered," Clark added. "Probably high ground. There's a catwalk system through the building." "Then we clear it first." Adrian looked at Ava. "You'll wear a vest under your clothes, earpiece so we can communicate. And you'll have a panic button, one press, and we extract you immediately." "What if I don't get a chance to press it?" "Then we come in anyway. At the first sign of trouble." They spent the day preparing. Ava was fitted with body armor that felt heavy and wrong, an earpiece that kept falling out until Clark showed her the trick of positioning it. They rehearsed scenarios, what she should say, where she should stand, how to create distance between herself and Marcus. "Don't let him touch you," Clark emphasized. "The moment he gets hands on you, your options decrease exponentially." "I know." Ava had learned that lesson the hard way. By 8 p.m., she was ready, or as ready as she'd ever be. Adrian's team had already deployed to the warehouse, setting up positions, waiting. "Last chance to back out," Adrian said as they prepared to leave. "I'm not backing out." "Good." He handed her something small and hard, a knife in a wrist sheath. "Just in case. You know how to use it?" "I know how it feels to be on the wrong end of one." She strapped it on, the weight unfamiliar but not unwelcome. "That'll have to be enough." The drive to the warehouse district felt both endless and too fast. Ava watched the city transition from luxury high-rises to industrial decay, buildings gutted and abandoned, streetlights broken or burned out. Perfect place for an ambush. Clark parked 3 blocks away. "Team's in position. You'll go in at 9:55. Marcus will either be early or late. Early means he's confident. Late means he's paranoid." "Or he won't show at all," Ava said. "He'll show. Men like him can't resist." Adrian checked his watch. "We've got 40 minutes. Everyone knows their positions?" Confirmation came through the earpieces. Ava tried to focus on breathing, on staying calm, on remembering everything they'd rehearsed, but her hands were shaking again, her heart racing. Adrian noticed. "Second thoughts? 10th or 11th thoughts, but I'm still going." "Why?" She looked at him. "Because I want my life back, the real one. Not the half-life I've been living, always looking over my shoulder. If this is what it takes to be free, then this is what I do." He nodded. "When this is over, when you're safe, we should talk about what comes next. Let's survive tonight first." "Deal." At 9:50, they moved. Ava walked alone down the broken street, her footsteps echoing off abandoned buildings. The warehouse loomed ahead, a hulking shadow against the night sky. Through her earpiece, Adrian's voice. "We see you. Thermal shows 2 people inside. Marcus and 1 other. Probably Kozlov." "Fantastic," Ava muttered. "You don't have to do this." "Yes, I do." She reached the front entrance. The door was already open, spilling dim light onto the cracked pavement. Ava stepped inside. The warehouse was exactly what she'd expected. Cavernous space, rusted equipment, shadows everywhere. And in the center, under a single hanging bulb, stood Marcus. He looked the same. Same build, same face, same smile that had once made her feel safe before she learned what it really meant. He was leaning against a metal table, casual, like they were meeting for coffee instead of a confrontation. "Ava," his voice echoed. "You came. You didn't leave me much choice. There's always a choice. You could have kept running, but you didn't." He pushed off the table, moved closer. Do you know why? Because you found the kid. No. Marcus's smile widened. Because you missed me. Missed us. Missed what we had. The delusion in his voice made her skin crawl. We had nothing. You had a victim. I had a partner. Someone who understood me. Then you ruined it by leaving. You were killing me. I was making you perfect. He gestured around the warehouse, just like I'm going to do now, starting fresh. A new canvas. Movement in the shadows, the second person Adrian mentioned. Kozlov stepped into the light, older, hard-faced, watching the exchange with cold amusement. Touching reunion, Kozlov said, his accent thick. But let's discuss business. Where is Wolf? Not here, Ava said. This was between Marcus and me. You think I'm stupid? Kozlov pulled a gun, aimed it casually at her chest. You came alone? No backup? I don't believe you. Through the earpiece, Adrian's voice. Hold steady. Don't react. Ava kept her face neutral. Believe what you want. I'm here. That's what Marcus wanted. What I want, Marcus said, moving closer, is to finish our conversation from 3 years ago. The one you interrupted by running. He was close enough now that Ava could smell the whiskey on his breath. Same smell as that last night. Her body remembered before her mind could catch up, the weight of him, the knife, the pain. Don't touch me, she said, her voice steady despite the terror. Or what? Marcus reached out, traced a finger down her arm over her sleeve. You'll run again? There's nowhere left to run, Ava. I own you. Always have. No. Ava stepped back. You never owned me. You just convinced me I was worthless. But I'm not. And I'm done letting you control my life. Marcus's expression darkened. You ungrateful. Team moving in. Adrian's voice cut through the earpiece. Get down. Now. Ava dropped as the warehouse exploded into chaos. Adrian's team came through every entrance simultaneously. Tactical, fast, overwhelming. Kozlov fired once before Clark put him down. Marcus grabbed for Ava, but she rolled away, the knife from her wrist sheath suddenly in her hand. Stay back, she warned. Marcus laughed. You won't use that. You're not a killer. No, but I'm a survivor. He lunged. Ava slashed, catching his arm. He howled, stumbled back. Then Adrian was there, hitting Marcus with the kind of precision that came from military training. 2 hits, and Marcus was on the ground, bleeding, gasping. Don't move, Adrian ordered, gun aimed at Marcus's head. But Marcus was laughing, blood bubbling at his lips. You think this ends it? I'll always find her. Always. You can't protect her forever. Watch me. Adrian's finger tightened on the trigger. No. Ava put her hand on his arm. Don't. He's not worth it. He tried to kill you. And he failed. Let the police have him. Let him rot in prison knowing he lost. Adrian's jaw worked, but he lowered the gun. Your call. Police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Clark was zip-tying Kozlov, other team members securing the building. It was over. Ava looked down at Marcus, broken and defeated on the floor. 3 years of nightmares reduced to this. A pathetic man who'd mistaken violence for power. I was never yours, she said quietly. And I never will be. Marcus spat blood. This isn't over. Yes, Ava said. It is. The police arrived in force. Statements were given, arrests made, evidence collected. Marcus and Kozlov were hauled away in separate vehicles, both facing charges that would put them away for decades. Adrian pulled Ava aside as the warehouse was processed as a crime scene. You okay? I don't know. Ask me in a week. She looked at her hands, one still holding the knife, the other shaking. I cut him. You defended yourself. I know. It's just, I never thought I'd be capable of that. You're capable of a lot more than you think. Adrian took the knife gently, handed it to Clark. Come on, let's get you out of here. They drove back in silence, Ava watching the city lights blur past. When they reached the apartment, she finally spoke. What happens now? Now you heal. Really heal. Not just survive. Adrian looked at her. And when you're ready, we figure out what comes next. I don't know how to do that. Neither do I, but we'll figure it out together. The word together settled in her chest like something warm. For the first time in 3 years, Ava believed him. The apartment felt different when they walked in, quieter somehow, like the walls themselves were exhaling after holding their breath. Ava stood in the living room, still wearing the body armor under her jacket, still feeling the phantom weight of the knife in her hand. "You should take that off," Adrian said, gesturing to the vest. "Get comfortable. I'll make coffee." "I don't think I can drink coffee right now." "Then don't. But take off the armor anyway. You're safe." Safe. The word felt foreign. Ava fumbled with the straps, her fingers clumsy with adrenaline crash. Adrian stepped closer, helped her without asking, his movements careful and impersonal. The vest came off, leaving her feeling exposed and light. "Better?" he asked. "Different." She sank onto the couch, her legs finally giving out. "Is it really over? Or is this the part where I wake up and he's still out there?" "It's over. Marcus is in custody facing attempted murder, stalking, assault with a deadly weapon. Kozlov's looking at attempted murder, conspiracy, weapons charges. Between my lawyers and the DA's office, they're both going away for a long time. People get out. Not from what I'm about to do to them." Adrian's voice was cold. "I've got investigators digging into everything, financial records, associates, every crime they've ever committed. By the time I'm done, they won't see daylight until they're old men." Ava wanted to feel relief. Instead, she felt numb, like her emotions had hit some kind of wall and couldn't process anymore. "I need to see Max," she said suddenly. "I need to know he's okay." Adrian checked his watch. "It's past midnight. He'll be asleep." "I don't care. Please." Something in her voice must have convinced him. He pulled out his phone, made a call. "Henderson, we're coming to you. Tonight. I know what time it is. We're coming anyway." He hung up, looked at Ava. "Get your things. We'll drive up now." The drive to the lake house took 2 hours through dark country roads. Ava watched trees blur past in the headlights, her mind replaying the warehouse. Marcus on the ground, the blood, the hate in his eyes when he realized he'd lost. "You're quiet," Adrian said. "Thinking. About?" "Whether I'm going to have nightmares about tonight or if I already used up my lifetime supply." "You'll have nightmares." His voice was matter of fact. "Probably for a while. But they'll fade eventually. You'll process it and move on." "You sound like you know." "I do." He kept his eyes on the road. "After I came back from overseas, I couldn't sleep for months. Every sound was a threat. Every shadow was an enemy. Took me a year to feel normal again. What helped? Time, therapy, and letting myself believe I deserved to heal." He glanced at her. That last part was the hardest. Ava understood that too well. The part of her that Marcus had broken whispered that she'd brought all of this on herself, that if she'd been smarter, stronger, better, none of this would have happened. "I keep thinking about what I could have done differently," she admitted. "If I'd seen the signs earlier, if I'd left sooner." "Stop." Adrian's voice was firm. "You survived. That's all that matters. Everything else is just noise." "Is it though?" "Max got dragged into this." "You got dragged into this. People could have died tonight because of me. People could have died because Marcus is a violent psychopath. This isn't on you." He pulled onto a smaller road, gravel crunching under the tires. "You need to hear this, Ava. What happened to you wasn't your fault. Not the abuse, not the stalking, none of it. He made those choices. You were just trying to survive them." The words hit harder than they should have. Ava felt her throat close, tears burning behind her eyes. She'd spent 3 years telling herself the same thing, but hearing it from someone else made it feel true for the first time. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For not giving up on me. For believing I was worth saving." Adrian was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough. "You were always worth saving. I just hope you start believing that too." They reached the lake house just after 2 in the morning. Henderson met them at the door, armed but relaxed. "Kid's asleep in the back bedroom," he reported. "Went down around 9. Been quiet since." "Any problems?" Adrian asked. "None. Perimeter's been secure. No movement, no calls, nothing." Ava moved past them without waiting, following muscle memory to the bedroom Henderson indicated. The door was cracked open, a nightlight casting soft shadows. She slipped inside. Max was sprawled across the bed, one arm hugging his elephant, his face peaceful in sleep. He looked so small, so innocent. Ava's chest ached looking at him. She sat carefully on the edge of the bed, reaching out to smooth his hair back. His eyes fluttered open. "Miss Ava?" His voice was sleep-thick, confused. "Hey, buddy, go back to sleep." "You came." He sat up, suddenly more awake, and threw his arms around her neck. "You promised you'd come and you did." Ava held him tight, breathing in the kid smell of him, shampoo and sleep, and something indefinably Max. "I always keep my promises to you." "I was scared." The admission was muffled against her shoulder. "I know. I'm sorry. Henderson wouldn't tell me what was wrong. Just kept saying everything was fine, but I knew it wasn't." He pulled back, looking at her with those two serious eyes. Something bad happened, didn't it? Ava wanted to lie, to protect him from the ugliness of the past few days. But Max deserved better than that. "Yeah," she said quietly. "Something bad. But it's over now. Everyone's safe." "Is that why Dad's here too?" She turned to find Adrian in the doorway, watching them with an expression she couldn't quite read. "Hey, Max," Adrian said, moving into the room. "Sorry we woke you." "I'm glad you did." Max scrambled across the bed to hug his father. "Can we go home now? I miss my room." "Tomorrow," Adrian promised. "We'll all go home tomorrow." "All of us?" Max looked between them. "Even Miss Ava?" "Especially Miss Ava." Max smiled, satisfied, and burrowed back under his blankets. "Okay, good, because Henderson doesn't know how to make pancakes right, and I'm hungry." Despite everything, Ava laughed. "I'll make you pancakes in the morning. Now sleep." "Will you stay?" Max asked. "Just until I fall asleep?" She looked at Adrian, who nodded. "I'll stay." She lay down on top of the covers, and Max curled against her side, his elephant squashed between them. Within minutes, his breathing had evened out into sleep. Ava stayed anyway, watching his chest rise and fall, feeling the simple reality of his presence. Adrian was still in the doorway when she finally got up. They slipped out together, closing the door quietly behind them. "He's going to be okay," Adrian said as they walked down the hallway. "Is he? Or did we just traumatize him for life?" "Kids are resilient, and he's got people who love him. That's enough." In the living room, Henderson had made coffee despite the hour. Ava took a cup gratefully, letting the warmth seep into her hands. "What happens now?" she asked. "With the trial, the legal stuff?" "You'll have to give testimony eventually," Adrian said. "But my lawyers will prep you, and you won't be alone." "I've never testified before." "You stood up to Marcus in person tonight. A courtroom will be easy by comparison." Ava wasn't sure about that, but she nodded anyway. The exhaustion was hitting her now, making her limbs heavy, her thoughts fuzzy. "You should sleep," Adrian said, reading her face. "Guest room's made up." "What about you?" "I'll sleep when I know everyone's secure. Old habit." She wanted to argue, but her body was already shutting down. She made it to the guest room, collapsed onto the bed, still fully dressed, and was asleep before she could think about nightmares. She woke to sunlight and the smell of pancakes. For a disoriented moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Then it all came back. The warehouse, the drive, Max's arms around her neck. She found them in the kitchen, Max chattering while Adrian attempted to flip a pancake with mixed results. "You're doing it wrong," Max informed him. "Clearly, which is why Miss Ava's going to take over when she's ready." "I'm ready now," Ava said, moving to the stove. "Before you burn the house down." The domesticity of it felt surreal after everything, but she slipped into the familiar rhythm anyway, making pancakes the way Max liked them, listening to him talk about the fish he'd seen in the lake, pretending everything was normal. Maybe it could be. They ate breakfast together, then packed up to leave. The drive back to the city felt lighter somehow, like they'd left something heavy behind at the lake house. Max fell asleep in the back seat halfway through, his elephant clutched tight. In the quiet, Adrian finally spoke. "I need to tell you something." Ava's stomach tightened. "Okay." "When this all started, when I found out you'd lied on your application, my first instinct was to fire you, cut ties, move on, safer that way. But you didn't." "No, because Max needed you, and because—" He paused, seeming to weigh his words. "Because I saw something in you that reminded me of myself. Someone who'd been through hell, and was still fighting, still trying to build something good. Adrian, let me finish. He kept his eyes on the road. These past few days, watching you face your worst nightmare, seeing how strong you are, it made me realize something. I don't want you to just be Max's nanny. I want you to be part of this family, really part of it. Ava's heart was racing. What are you saying? I'm saying when we get back, I don't want things to go back to how they were. Employer and employee maintaining distance. He finally looked at her. I want to see where this goes, if you're willing. The words hung between them, heavy with possibility. Ava's first instinct was to run, to protect herself from the vulnerability of letting someone in. But she'd been running for 3 years. Maybe it was time to try something different. I don't know how to do this, she admitted. The last relationship I had nearly destroyed me. I don't know if I'm capable of trusting someone like that again. Then we take it slow. No pressure, no expectations, just two people figuring it out together. What about Max? Max already loves you. That part's easy. Adrian smiled slightly. It's the rest of us that needs to catch up. Ava looked back at Max, sleeping peacefully in his car seat. Then at Adrian, steady and patient and offering something she'd thought she'd lost the right to want. Okay, she said quietly. Slow. We can try slow. Yeah? Yeah. The smile that crossed Adrian's face was genuine, transforming his usually controlled expression into something younger, lighter. It made Ava's chest ache in a way that felt almost like hope. They reached the city by early afternoon. The estate looked the same from the outside, but Ava knew it was different now. The place where Marcus had broken in, where her nightmares had become real. She wasn't sure she could live there anymore. Adrian must have read her hesitation. We don't have to stay here. I've got other properties, or we can find something new. Whatever you need. I don't want to displace you. This is just a house. Home is wherever Max is, wherever you are. He pulled through the gates. We'll figure it out. Inside, Clark and Davis were coordinating repairs. New locks, upgraded security systems, every vulnerability identified and addressed. The house was becoming a fortress again, but this time it felt different. Less like a prison, more like a choice. Max woke up enough to stumble inside, immediately heading for his room and his toys. Ava watched him go, feeling the knot in her chest loosen slightly. He was okay. They were all okay. Miss Carter? Clark approached, professional as always. The DA's office called. They want to schedule your deposition for next week. Reality crashing back in. That soon? They're fast-tracking the case. Marcus made threats in custody. Stupid ones. It's only helping our case. What kind of threats? Clark's expression darkened. The kind that earned him solitary confinement and additional charges. He's not going to be a problem much longer. After Clark left, Ava found herself wandering through the house, seeing it with new eyes. This was where she'd felt safe for 14 months, where she'd learned to smile again, to sleep without constant nightmares, to believe life could be more than survival. Marcus had tried to take that away, but he'd failed. She found Adrian in his office, on the phone with what sounded like lawyers. He saw her, wrapped up the call quickly. Everything okay? He asked. I was just thinking, I need to do something. Something that makes this feel final. Like what? Like going back to my real name. The words came out before she'd fully thought them through, but once said, they felt right. Ava Carter was someone I created to hide. But I'm not hiding anymore. I want to be me again. Adrian studied her face. What's your real name? She hadn't said it out loud in 3 years. It felt strange on her tongue. Emma. Emma Ross. Emma. He tested it, nodded. It suits you better. Does it? Ava always felt like you were playing a part. Emma feels real. Something about hearing her name from him, said with care and certainty, made her eyes burn. I don't know if I remember how to be Emma Ross. That person, she was so young, so naive about what people were capable of. Then be a different version. Emma Ross, who survived, who fought back, who's building something new. Adrian stood, moved closer. You get to decide who you are now. Not Marcus, not the past. You. The weight of that freedom was almost overwhelming. For 3 years, she'd been defined by what she was running from. Now she could be defined by what she was running toward. The next few weeks passed in a blur of depositions and legal meetings. Emma, she was trying to think of herself that way now, sat through hours of testimony, describing her relationship with Marcus in clinical detail. The scars on her arms became evidence. Her fear became documentation. It was exhausting and re-traumatizing and necessary. Adrian was there for all of it, sitting in waiting rooms, holding her hand when the questions got too hard, reminding her to breathe when the panic threatened to overwhelm. "You're doing good," he'd say after each session. "Almost through it." "It doesn't feel good." "It will, eventually." Max knew something was happening, but not the details. Emma was careful about that, maintaining normalcy for him even as her own world shifted. They still did homework together, still watched movies on Friday nights, still had their morning routine of terrible jokes and pancakes. But something had changed between Emma and Adrian. Nothing overt. They hadn't kissed, hadn't even really talked about what they were doing. But there were small moments that felt significant. His hand on her back as they walked into court. The way he looked at her when she was reading to Max. The coffee that appeared beside her every morning without her asking. "Are you and Dad dating?" Max asked one afternoon, direct in the way only children could be. Emma nearly choked on her water. "What makes you think that?" "He smiles more when you're around, and he makes excuses to be in the same room as you." "You're very observant." "That's not an answer." Emma sat down, meeting his eyes. "We're figuring things out, taking it slow. Is that okay with you?" Max considered this seriously. "Will you still be my nanny?" "If you want me to be." "I want you to be more than my nanny. I want you to stay forever." The simple honesty of it broke her heart in the best way. "I'm not going anywhere, buddy. I promise." "Good." He went back to his coloring like the conversation hadn't just rearranged her entire world. The trial date was set for 2 months out. Marcus pled not guilty despite overwhelming evidence, because of course he did. His lawyer tried to paint Emma as a scorned ex-girlfriend, Marcus as the real victim. It didn't work. The prosecution had photos of her scars, medical records from the emergency room visit after she'd escaped, testimony from neighbors who'd heard her screaming. They had Marcus's threatening messages, the break-in at the estate, the warehouse confrontation. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours, guilty on all counts. Emma sat in the courtroom, watching Marcus's face as the verdict was read. She expected to feel triumph, relief, something cathartic. Instead, she just felt tired. It was over. Really over. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, but Adrian's security team created a barrier. They made it to the car without Emma having to say a word. "How do you feel?" Adrian asked as they pulled away. "Empty. Like I spent 3 years carrying this weight, and now it's gone. And I don't know what to do with the space it left behind." "You fill it with new things, better things." "Like what?" He looked at her, his expression soft. "Like whatever you want. You're free now, Emma. Really free. What do you want your life to look like?" The question was huge and terrifying and exhilarating. For 3 years, she'd wanted safety. She'd achieved that. Now she could want more. She paused, trying to articulate feelings she'd kept buried. "I want to go back to school, finish my degree in criminal justice. Maybe become that victim advocate I originally planned to be." "That's good. What else?" "I want to be part of Max's life, watch him grow up, be there for the important stuff." "Done. What else?" This was harder. "I want to see where this goes. With you. If the offer's still on the table." Adrian's smile was answer enough. "It's been on the table. I'm just waiting for you to be ready." "I'm not sure I know how to be ready." "Then we'll figure it out together, starting with dinner, tonight, just us. No lawyers, no crisis, no emergency. Just 2 people seeing if they work." "What about Max?" "Henderson owes me a favor. He can handle bedtime." Emma laughed, surprised by how easy it felt. "Okay, dinner. I can do dinner." "Yeah?" "Yeah, That night, she spent an embarrassing amount of time picking out clothes, discarding options, second-guessing herself. Finally settled on something simple, Dark jeans, a nice top, minimal jewelry. She even wore short sleeves for the first time in years, her scars visible but no longer shameful. They were part of her story, not the whole story anymore. Adrian took her to a quiet restaurant, the kind with dim lighting and private tables. They talked about everything except the past few months: his work, her plans for school, Max's latest obsession with dinosaurs. He asked me last week if he could get a pet T-Rex, Adrian said. Very seriously, had a whole argument prepared about how he'd take care of it. What did you tell him? That if he could find one, we'd discuss it. Emma laughed. You're going to regret that when he shows up with a lizard and claims it's close enough. Already planning my counter-argument, it felt normal, easy, like they'd been doing this for years instead of navigating brand new territory. But underneath the comfort was tension, the good kind, the kind that made Emma hyper-aware of every time Adrian's hand brushed hers, every smile that lingered too long. After dinner, they walked through the park near the restaurant, the city lights reflecting off the lake. I need to tell you something, Emma said, stopping near the water. Okay. I'm terrified. Of this. Of letting myself care about someone again. Every time I start to feel safe, part of me is waiting for it to fall apart. That's normal. Is it? After what you went through? Absolutely. Adrian turned to face her fully. But here's the thing. I'm terrified too. I haven't let anyone close since my wife died. Convinced myself it was easier alone. But then you showed up and made me want to try again. I'm a mess, Adrian. Nightmares, panic attacks, trust issues, and I'm a workaholic with control issues, and a kid who needs therapy because I don't know how to talk about his mother. He smiled slightly. We're both disasters, but maybe we're disasters that work together. Emma laughed despite herself. That's not romantic. No, but it's honest. He reached up, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I'm not promising perfect. I'm promising that I'll show up, that I'll fight for this, that I won't run when things get hard. What if I run? Then I'll wait for you to come back, and I'll be here when you do. The certainty in his voice undid something in her chest. She leaned into him, letting herself take comfort in his solid presence, his warmth. I want to try, she whispered. I'm scared, but I want to try. That's enough. We'll figure out the rest. He kissed her then, gentle and careful, and asking permission with every movement. Emma kissed him back, tasting possibility and hope, and the first real glimpse of a future she could actually want. When they pulled apart, she was crying. Happy tears? Adrian asked, concerned. Yeah, I think so. I'm not used to happy. Get used to it. I'm planning to make it a regular thing. They stayed by the lake until the park closed, talking and planning and slowly building something neither of them had quite dared to hope for. 6 months later, Emma stood in the estate's garden, watching Max chase butterflies with the single-minded focus of a child on a mission. The scars on her arms were visible in her short-sleeved dress, but she'd stopped covering them months ago. They were part of her story, the part about surviving. Adrian appeared beside her, slipping an arm around her waist. He's going to catch one eventually, and then we'll have to have the talk about letting things go. You have that talk. I'm claiming plausible deniability. Coward. Strategic delegator. He laughed, pressed a kiss to her temple. How was the session today? Emma had started therapy 3 months ago, finally dealing with the trauma she'd been carrying. Hard, but good. Dr. Chen thinks I'm making progress. You are. I see it. You have to say that. You're biased. Doesn't make it less true. Max came running over, grass-stained and breathless. Miss Emma, did you see how close I got? She still hadn't gotten used to him calling her Emma instead of Miss Ava, but it felt right, more honest. I saw. You almost had it. Next time. He looked between them. Are we still going to the movies tonight? If you still want to, Adrian confirmed. Can we get popcorn? Have we ever gone to the movies without getting popcorn? Max grinned, satisfied, and ran off again. Emma watched him go, feeling that familiar ache of love that had nothing to do with biology and everything to do with showing up every day. I applied to the university, she said, criminal justice program. They accepted me for fall semester. Adrian's smile was genuine. That's incredible. I'm proud of you. It's going to be hard. Juggling school and Max and... She gestured between them. This. We'll make it work. That's what families do. Family. The word still felt new but increasingly right. They weren't traditional. An ex-nanny, a billionaire widower, a kid who needed them both. But they worked. I love you, Emma said, surprising herself. They'd been careful about those words, neither wanting to rush. Adrian's expression softened. I love you too. Have for a while now. Why didn't you say anything? Because I was waiting for you to be ready to hear it. I'm ready. She turned in his arms, looking up at him. I'm really ready. He kissed her properly then, not careful anymore, just honest. When they broke apart, Max was making exaggerated gagging noises from across the lawn. You guys are gross, he called. You're just jealous, Emma called back. Am not. Are too. Adrian laughed, the sound full and unguarded. This is my life now, arguing with a 6-year-old about kissing. Could be worse. Could be better. Could be different, Emma corrected. And different doesn't scare me anymore. She'd learned that the hard way, that change could mean growth instead of loss, that starting over could mean building something stronger, that the scars you carried could become proof of survival instead of shame. Marcus was serving 25 years without parole. Kozlov had taken a plea deal and was facing 15. The nightmares still came sometimes, but less frequently, less intense. Emma had found a support group for domestic violence survivors, started volunteering with a local women's shelter. Helping others helped her heal in ways she hadn't expected. The life she was building wasn't perfect. There were still hard days, still moments where the past crept in. But she was learning to sit with the discomfort instead of running from it. She was learning to be Emma Ross again, not the naive girl from before Marcus, and not the terrified woman who'd been Ava Carter. Someone new. Someone stronger. That evening, they went to the movies as planned. Max fell asleep halfway through, his head on Emma's shoulder, popcorn forgotten in his lap. Adrian reached across him to take Emma's hand, and she held on tight. This was home, not the estate with its walls and security, not any building or location. These two people who'd chosen her when she'd barely been able to choose herself. After the movie, they carried Max to the car. He woke up enough to mumble something about dinosaurs before falling back asleep. Emma buckled him in, smoothed his hair back. Love you, buddy, she whispered. In the front seat, Adrian started the car. Home? Emma looked at him, at the life they were building, at the future that no longer terrified her. Yeah, she said. Home. And for the first time in 3 years, maybe for the first time ever, she meant it completely. The scars on her arms caught the streetlight as they drove, white lines against her skin. She used to see them as evidence of damage, proof that she was broken beyond repair. Now she saw them differently. They were a map of where she'd been, yes, but also proof of where she'd survived to reach, proof that she was stronger than the things that had tried to destroy her. Emma Ross had been hurt, had been hunted, had been terrified, but she'd also fought back, stood up, and refused to let her past define her future. The scars would always be there, but they were no longer the whole story. They were just the beginning.